Yo, what's good everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be breaking down the Nhl Dfs slate for Wednesday, February 15th. We got ourselves a 6-game slate here tonight where I'm going to go through a couple of my favorite line stacks, some of my favorite individual plays, and some of my favorite value plays. And then we'll wrap up today's video talking a little prize picks. With that being said, let's dive into my spreadsheet here. And we're going to kick things off here like we always do in the top left-hand corner with those highest implied game totals, where you can see 5 of these 6 games are coming in with an implied total of 6.5 goals. And then we got this game between the Avs and Wild coming in at 6 goals even. And then take a look down here at the Vegas odds, where you can see each team who's favored to win tonight. And then here's a schedule update for the remainder of this week. Again, got content coming out for you guys here today, tomorrow, and Friday. Take a look at the note in the bottom right-hand corner as well. Next Monday is President's Day, and I was taking a look at the NHL slate there, and it looks like games are going to be starting as early as 11 a.m. my time here in Colorado, so it's highly unlikely I'm going to have a video out for next Monday's slate, unless I do that on Sunday. But I got people in town here this weekend and be watching some college hockey, so I can make no promises for Monday, but I'll try to do some prize picks for sure on that slate, and I'll be putting those in the Discord. If you want to join that, there's a link to do so in the description below. With that being said, let's dive into a couple of line stacks that I like here for tonight, starting with that first line for the Buffalo Sabres. We got Thompson centering Skinner and Tuck. Now, it's been a while since I've highlighted this first line for Buffalo, largely due to how expensive they've been this year, but they're back to a reasonable price here once again, and it really couldn't come at a better time in this matchup here against the Anaheim Ducks, one of the worst teams in the NHL, a team that's allowed a league-high 4.07 goals per game this season, and they have the 5th worst penalty kill in the NHL, one that's hit at just a 74% rate, and this is a team that is not afraid to take penalties, ranking 3rd in the NHL in minor penalties taken so far this year, and all 3 of these guys here up on that first line also play on that number 1 power play for Buffalo. And then a cheaper line stack that I like here tonight is that third line for the New York Rangers. We got Hedl centering Lafreniere and Kakko. There's so much focus on that first line right now, with Tarasenko playing with Zibanejad and Kreider. Second line has Trocheck and Panarin. I think a lot of the focus is going to be there tonight, and rightfully so in this matchup against Vancouver, but considering how cheap this line is and how correlated it is, I absolutely will be playing it. Now, Hedl is up on the number 1 power play right now, and so I obviously don't mind that. It breaks up a little of the correlation with all 3 of those guys on the number 2 power play, which Lafreniere and Kakko are still playing there. Either way, all 3 of these guys getting time on the power play, you love to see that, because Vancouver legitimately has the worst penalty kill in the NHL, and this line here has played some solid hockey as of late, having combined for 12 goals, 17 assists, 29 points in their past 10 games. Not bad at all, considering their price tags. Now, folks, before we dive into some of my favorite individual plays here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. And again, I am running that Discord channel too. If you want to join that, there's a link to do so in the description below. We got people in there talking hockey, talking some NBA, and talking some prize picks too. Alright, now diving into some of these individual plays here, we're going to kick it off with the forwards. First guy I got there is William Nylander. Now, for starters, it sounds like Austin Matthews is going to be back here tonight, centering that first line again with William Nylander and Michael Bunting. I really like anyone on that number 1 power play tonight in a great matchup against the Chicago Blackhawks. Chicago's not only playing on back-to-back nights after losing in Montreal 4-0 last night, but this is a team that struggled defensively all year long, having allowed 3.62 goals per game. That's the 5th most in the NHL, with a penalty kill that's hit at just a 75.6% rate. I believe that is the 9th worst in the NHL. Nylander's been really solid this year. He's been really solid here as of late too, and I thought he was actually a little too cheap at $7,100, so I will take advantage of that. You can see here he's racked up 7 goals, 7 assists, 14 points in his last 10 games. 4 of those points coming on the power play, while averaging close to 4 shots on net per game. Now, one game I think will fly under the radar here tonight is this game between the Avalanche and Wild, and so I don't know if we need to attack it from a cash game perspective, because there's a lot of high high scoring upside in these other games. But from a tournament perspective, I certainly don't mind targeting this game. And we could go on either side of it. There's definitely some high scoring potential here as well, even though the implied total is just 6 goals. I kind of like the second line with Joel Eriksson Ek and Matt Boldy of the Minnesota Wild, considering both those guys also play up on the number 1 power play. And Eriksson Ek has been hot on the power play here as of late. You can see he's racked up 5 goals, 5 assists, 10 points in his last 10 games. 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 of those points have come on the power play, and I really like the way he's been shooting the puck here as well. And not only are the Avalanche playing on back-to-back nights here tonight after losing to Tampa Bay last night at home, but if there's been one area this team has struggled with this year, it's been on the penalty kill, just hitting at a 77.3% rate. So again, I kind of like targeting Minnesota's second line with Boldy and Eriksson, being that they both play up on the number 1 power play. Next, I got Brandon Hagel there of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, we saw Hagel get put back up on the first line with Point and Kucherov last night against the Colorado Avalanche, and Stamkos did mix in on that first line as well, but we saw Hagel play a majority of his 5-on-5 shifts with Point and Kucherov, so I really like to see that, and he remains on that number 1 power play as well. They are playing on back-to-back nights, not something I necessarily love to target, but I do like the matchup here for the Tampa Bay Lightning playing against the Arizona Coyotes, a team that's given up 3.50 goals per game this year, the 8th most in the NHL, with a penalty kill that's hit at just a 75.7% rate. And the Arizona Coyotes are another team that are not afraid to take penalties, having taken the 2nd most minor penalties in the NHL so far this year. Now, one game I like targeting in general here tonight is this game between the Sabres and Ducks. I think we could see a lot of goals scored in this game, considering both teams are not very good defensively. I know the Buffalo Sabres have improved this year, but they're still a team that struggles to keep the puck out of their own net, especially here since the All-Star break. They've played just 2 games, but they've allowed 5 and 7 goals in those games, 12 total, and I don't expect them to give up 5 or 7 goals here tonight to Anaheim, but again, a team that's really struggled defensively, and they've given up 3.48 goals per game this year. That's the 9th most in the NHL, and their penalty kill has really struggled as well, just hitting at a 72.4% rate. That's the 3rd worst in the NHL, so I kind of like targeting the number 1 power play for Anaheim. Number 1, it is very affordable, and Adam Henrique on that first line in number 1 power play really sticks out to me. He's played some good hockey here as of late with 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points in his last 10 games, while averaging close to 3 shots on net per game. And then one forward I like here in the 4K range is Vladimir Tarasenko. I know I've already highlighted the New York Rangers as a line stack, but it's really hard to ignore this price tag here for Tarasenko, being that he's playing up on that first line with Zibanejad and Kreider and getting time on that number 2 power play. And yeah, I understand he's only played 13 minutes in each of his first 2 games as a Ranger, but that will absolutely increase going forward. I mean, they got Jimmy Vesey on the second line averaging 16 minutes per game. They're certainly not going to short shift Tarasenko after trading for him. And again, has a great matchup here tonight against the Vancouver Canucks, but this play is largely due to the price. Now, moving over here to the defensemen, and this is another slate where I'm not really thrilled about the overall pricing for defensemen tonight, so I'll probably be keeping my player pool pretty limited at this position. I really kind of like the 4 to 5K range here tonight, and there's a couple guys that I really like in the 3K range. One guy I would be willing to pay up for is Rasmus Dahlin, and I would be willing to pay up for Adam Fox as well, stacking him up with guys on that number 1 power play. Exactly what I'm doing here with Dahlin as well, stacking him up with guys on that first line that I highlighted earlier, considering how good the matchup is tonight against the Anaheim Ducks. Now with Trouba here, I kind of like that number 2 power play. We know that that first line and probably some of that second line is going to be popular for the Rangers tonight, so I kind of like pivoting off to that third line, being that they're super cheap and we can stack up Trouba there with that number 2 power play. And Trouba really is a guy who can rack up DraftKings points in a number of different ways. He can get on the score sheet, he's not afraid to shoot the puck at times, and he's definitely not afraid to block shots. Devontae's here if Cale Makar is out once again. Hard to ignore the opportunity he's getting up on that number 1 power play and really just logging huge minutes, playing around 26 minutes per game. And then Juuso Valimaki there of the Arizona Coyotes, albeit a tougher matchup against the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight. I do like that they're playing on back-to-back nights, those Tampa Bay Lightning. And Juuso here, he's playing up on the number 1 power play, considering that Jacob Chychrun remains scratch, being that he is essentially on the trade block at this point. Now, I do want to mention here with the honorable mentions, I got Cam Fowler there. Like I said, I like that game between the Buffalo Sabres and Ducks tonight. You can stack them up with forwards on that number 1 power play. Gerard and Byram there, I like those plays more if Cale Makar is out once again, and I suspect that he will be, being that he didn't play last night. Wouldn't make sense for him to travel on the road tonight to Minnesota, but do keep an eye on that. And then Evan Bouchard here. He did play up on the number 1 power play last game. If you look online right now, the websites are still saying that it's Tyson Barrie on the number 1 power play, but if Bouchard, if we get word that he's going to start on the number 1 power play tonight, I definitely like him at that price tag of $3,600. And then I got a couple of goaltenders there for you, a higher priced and lower priced option. First is Igor Shesterkin of the New York Rangers, who's been absolutely fantastic on the road this year with a 9-1-4 record, goals allowed average of 2.19, and a save percentage of .930, averaging close to 18 DraftKings points per game, and this Rangers team in general playing some really good hockey right now, having won 5 straight games. And then Karel Vejmelka there of the Arizona Coyotes. This is tournament or GPP only. I mentioned this the other day actually. He's a boom-bust type of player, but someone who can get us 30-plus DraftKings points. Again, facing a Lightning team here, playing on back-to-back nights on the road. And as always, going to wrap up this spreadsheet here with 3 low-priced options or sub-4K forward plays. Not really in love with the 2 to 4K plays here tonight at the forward position. I mentioned that in the notes off to the right-hand side, but obviously still got to highlight 3 guys for you. First is Lawson Crouse of the Arizona Coyotes, plays on the second line in number 2 power play. He's actually played very well here as of late with 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points in his last 10 games, averaging close to 10.5 DraftKings points per game. He's actually second on this team in both goals and expected goals this year, just behind Clayton Keller. Next is Anthony Cirelli of the Tampa Bay Lightning on the other side of that game. He also plays on the second line in number 2 power play. Been very solid here in his last 4 games, having racked up 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points, and hitting 11-plus DraftKings points in each one of those games. And then Peyton Krebs, this is absolutely a dart throw at $2,500. I thought Ryan Strome at $3,700 for the Anaheim Ducks was also interesting. He hasn't played great this year, but I do like the opportunity up on that first line in number 1 power play for him. Now, Krebs here, again, bare minimum price of $2,500. Plays on the third line in number 2 power play. His ice time has been increasing here as of late, playing around 15 minutes per game. Again, really comes down to the matchup and price here. If you're looking to have a dart throw, that could get you 15-plus DraftKings points. And then to wrap up this video here, want to talk a little prize picks with you guys. Ended up going 2-1 with our picks last night. That puts us at 4-1-1 on the week. We'd love to sweep every single night, but that's just not going to be the case. I'm looking at the slate here right now. Again, don't have the full set of picks out, but that's okay because you guys know my plan of attack anyways. I'll wait for all these picks to come out, do my research, and then let you know my final picks in a comment below on this video. I'll be sure to pin that comment as well. And don't forget, I do post those picks in my Discord channel too. And if you want to join that, there's a link to do so in the description below. But for those of you who have not signed up yet and want to get in on this prize picks action, I got a promo code that you should definitely take advantage of. When you're signing up, use my promo code GRIFF, GRIFF, and Prize Picks will give you all the way up to a $100 match deposit. Now, you do not have to put $100 in either. If you want to put in 50, they'll match 50. You want to put in 20, they'll match 20. Again, they'll match anything up to $100 as long as you're using my promo code GRIFF, GRIFF, upon signing up. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great day here, folks. Let's win some money on this 6-game slate. In the meantime, I'm out of here.